Hey traders, Chris Pulver here. Happy Monday morning. It is just shy of 9 o'clock on the 23rd of September, coming at you live with a weekly outlook for stocks, Forex, cryptos, the week of September 23rd through the 27th. So let's go ahead and get into the charts. For everyone interested in following me, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe. You can find me out there in the social media world, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. I answer any and all comments and appreciate the feedback. That's how you can find me. So let's get into the charts right now. Currency strength chart for the morning. Let me go ahead and refresh this. This updates every 5 minutes. We have the New Zealand dollar on top, the Aussie second in command. The pound is taking a little bit of a nosedive. So just a quick sneak peek, we have the New Zealand and Aussie on top, the euro and the pound on the bottom. Everything else baseline. CAD has made a little recovery for the morning. This is Swiss and CAD, dollar and yen next to each other here at baseline. But New Zealand doing quite well, which is good because I'm looking for some New Zealand dollar strength this week. I'll talk about that in the technicals, and we also had some good positions running on euro New Zealand short and pound New Zealand short. So I'll show you those charts in just a moment. So let's get into the charts right now, and we'll start navigating through here. I wanted to start off with get a little bit more chart real estate here. I want to start off with the New Zealand pairs. Let's go New Zealand CAD. Actually, let's start Aussie New Zealand first. Aussie New Zealand has been a really nice run to the upside. Traders have been with me throughout most of the year. We took a lot of profit there, and we started to level back in. We took a lot of profit there, started to level back in. We took a lot of profit there. So this has been a really nice trade for the last 8-9 months, and hopefully we see this area hold as resistance, allow this to set back in. Let's have another correction here. I will be looking to see, I'm not really interested in selling the Aussie New Zealand. I really just hope it offers another chance to buy it. So if this is correction, push, if we have another correction, I will be looking to level myself back in and get another push to the upside towards 109 or 110 on this Aussie New Zealand. So this is pretty much a fair battle between the Aussie and the New Zealand. Interest rates are the same at 1%. The data goes back and forth. U.S. and China trade war equally affects these two currency pairs. So hopefully this will drop a little bit, find some balance around 107 or 106 area. I'm just going to look to buy. I'm going to look to continue to buy the Aussie New Zealand, buy as low as possible, and take this up as high as possible. Other pairs, meanwhile, New Zealand CAD, for example, this has come down to test some lows. It got a nice buy level at 83.54. And if we just zoom out on this chart, you can see some really nice structure. Resistance, support, resistance, support, resistance, support, support. Yes, it could go a little bit lower. Yes, it might drift a little bit lower. But with the structure of this currency pair, I would not be surprised to see this level hold and start to push back up towards 86, possibly even 8,900 in the next maybe 2 to 4 weeks. Now, I did take a position here at the lows. If I go ahead and zoom in on some of my oscillators, what you can clearly see, if I can show you price. So let's get this going. So we can see that we made a new low in price. But what I like about these oscillators is this low in price is disagreeing with this momentum. So that to me tells me that divergence is setting in. I know that's a little bit early. There's no confirmation to buy this yet. But if we have something bullish forming this week, we are probably going to start moving to the upside. Also for the overall market cycle, we should be looking to go to the upside as well. So don't be surprised to see some Kiwi recovery this week. New Zealand CAD is a good candidate to be buying. New Zealand Swiss is another one. Same thing. I'm just going to go ahead and show this one more time. You can see lows in price. So lows in price, lows in price. If we make a new low in price, you can see that's very strong disagreement. Again, look at where this cycle would start to go back to the upside. Looking for some New Zealand Swiss bullishness, or looking for New Zealand strength across the board. So I'm going to go ahead and move these down so we can see a little bit more real estate on the charts. And again, just like with that New Zealand Canadian dollar, take a look at the support, resistance, support, resistance. All this channeling has been happening since the low back in 2015. So I would love to buy this area, which I am, and I would love to take this up towards this green target area around 6,600 to 6,650. If it happens to come a little bit lower, not really that worried about it because this area is a historical low, and I would gladly buy that long term at 57.50 and hold it for the end of time. So I'm liking this New Zealand Swiss to the upside as well as New Zealand CAD. Next, we have the New Zealand Yen. Now, the Yen might be a little bit trickier just because there's a yen attached to it, but here is what the currency pair looks like. There is some decent structure. Also, we're seeing some equal lows cycle-wise looking for the upside. If we can break this trend line, this is really the the sign. We need to break this trend line here. Let me go ahead and zoom in on the 4-hour chart. Yep, this trend line right here. So if we can space that out, connect the highs, connect the lows, let's see if we can break this trend line. So once we have a bit more confirmation on this New Zealand yen, this is going to look a lot better. Again, holding slightly off the lows. You know, we had a wild August low. This was a gap lower, and filled the gap, started to make some nice progress to the upside. If we get on the right-hand side of this trend line, we should see this area holding. Another supportive case for this would be if the stock market will continue to rally and we start to stretch out towards new historical highs. The JPY should be weaker. The Swiss franc should be weaker. This currency pair should be moving bullish. So if you want confirmation on this New Zealand yen, wait for this trend line to break, and it looks pretty good to the upside. Stop losses can go below. New Zealand dollar, another one that I think is positioned fairly well for a recovery. If you go to a higher time frame, you're going to see that divergence pretty cleanly. Again, price has made a low and a new low. Momentum is disagreeing cycle-wise, looking for a move to the upside. Now, what's going to be interesting about this currency pair is I would actually love to see not just this level, but I'd like to see a move that either moves all the way back up here, or we start to notice a reversal pattern. So from this low, let's see if we can come back up and challenge this high, and from there make a reversal pattern to recover back in towards 6,700, possibly this high. I had this nice little pocket set up as well around 6,890. Overall, if this is just a big range, then watching, you know, this area pretty carefully, right around 6,800. This could be a larger channel forming here, so support that I'm looking for, resistance that I'm looking for. So anything between 62 and 68, but I'm looking for bullishness to confirm this week or relatively soon. And two pairs that we are in right now that are doing pretty well. Here's Euro New Zealand. We sold this at 75.50, and price is currently at around 75.00, 75.06. So we're up about 50 pips in that currency pair. Nice little bearish candle and a trend line break. If we go to the right-hand side of this trend line, we've been patiently waiting. We got the break. So right there is a trend line break. How can we trade this? Well, we have this little move to the downside. We can look for a little bit of a hesitation and then have this push lower. This is the spot I'd be looking for, or potentially all the way back down to previous lows, which is a big move from 75.50 all the way down to 7,000. That's a lot of pips up for grabs there. Also, if it wants to pull back and form a high on the backside of this trend line, I would still look at selling that on the backside of the trend line. And stop areas above, you know, be flexible on the trade size, but I'm looking for this to go, again, down to the lows around 7,000. It's a nice round number target. Pound New Zealand. This one's actually doing pretty well. We took a sell trade at 2.000, and guess where we got filled? Right at the high. That high, in fact, was 2.0001. So within one pip, we called the top. That's pretty awesome. Not impossible to do. Don't think I had some magic number. All I did was look left on the chart. All right, so we had a previous high right there at 2,000, put a pending order at the same high, and guess what? The market came all the way up and hit it, and now we are currently up around 225 pips. And hopefully this will continue to drop, just like it did over here. Once we formed a high at 2,000, we dropped down quite nicely towards 9,000. That's 1,000 pips. So I'm looking to hang on to this trade from this high, let it set up a little pattern, let the bears continue to play out here. There's also a really nice pocket right around 92. I'll zoom in. That should be a trade that we can hold on to for maybe 500 to 800 pips. So 4-hour chart, nice little box target there around 92.75. I'm going to hang on to this trade. So this is a great spot for a conservative level. If we see this, you know, pull back and maybe have a double top, we can look at selling it again. If it just drops and pauses and keeps dropping and pausing, just like it did last time it hit 2,000, then I'm looking for this to hold towards 92 or 9,300. Grab some serious pips out of that pound New Zealand. So New Zealand across the board, I'm liking. Do we have any major news this week? Not really. I did notice that this week we have an RBNZ rate decision. That's a big deal, 10 p.m. Eastern time, but not expected to change. 1% is the forecast. That's what they cut last time. If I go ahead and show you, June, they were at 1.5%. July, actually August, first part of August, they cut a whole 0.5%, which is crazy because most banks are cutting, you know, 25 basis points. They cut 50 basis points just to get it out of the way. You can see that the forecast is 1.25. They went in and said, nah, we'll take you one better, go 1%. So that brings the Aussie and the New Zealand on par with each other at 1% official cash rate. But you can see here for this week, expected to remain the same. And like I said, technically speaking, to me it makes sense that the Kiwi is going to have some recovery and some strength coming in. We have a lot of speeches this week. I noticed the Bank of Japan, RBA, that's the Reserve Bank of Australia, ECB, Draghi speaks a couple of times this week. Bank of England, Governor Carney a couple times this week. So not really a super important data week, but a lot of central bank talk this week. We'll kind of see how that unfolds. A lot of times that may make some headlines that might cause some unforeseen volatility or unexpected volatility throughout the week. Maybe that's the explanation of why we see some movements. But when it's a week like this where it's a lot of speeches and it's high impact, but there's not really data points to trade, then maybe it just equates to volatility and some decent movement. So again, I defer to the technicals. So keep that in mind. Make some notes of those levels I'm talking about as we go through the rest of the charts. All right, so that's New Zealand pairs. Let's go back through alphabetical order. Let's start with Aussie CAD. 4-hour chart. Let's go to the daily. Let's go to a slightly higher time frame here. So backside of the trend line, equal lows perhaps around 8,900. I'm still looking for support to hang out here. We did successfully find our target around 9,100. I did take some profit, but I am back in off the lows. So I do have another couple positions that are building up here. And if we get back to 91 or back to even 92.50, I will happily take some profit there. All I'm really looking for with this one is there was a nice trend line break right in here. We did break that trend line officially on the daily chart. There's an outer trend line up here that should get me to 92.50 to 9,300. So I'm just looking to see how price behaves. If we hold these lows, that's fine. Hold the lows, stay on the right side of the trend line, start working its way back towards that outer trend line. That's a pretty decent trade for a few hundred pips. If we end up falling lower than that, okay, fine. I'll be keeping an eye on oil to see if oil ends up dropping. Then the CAD will weaken and still allow this to come up. There are a lot of inefficiencies on this Aussie CAD. There are a lot of pivots as well. This is also a currency pair that doesn't like to miss a lot of them. So I'm watching this pretty carefully. I think 8,900 is pretty massive support. And the further this goes on the right side of the trend line, the better the case is, in my opinion, to go up towards 92.50 and 9,300. Aussie Swiss. We were riding some profits on this one. We did have a bit of a pullback, but look exactly where it is. Previous resistance right here around 66.75. We're bouncing, hopefully going to bounce off that this week. And this will do nothing more than form some support and head back higher towards 69.50. If it comes back down to the lows, these are historical lows. These are significant levels to buy from. I'm still a buyer on the Aussie Swiss, and I will continue to hold. Aussie Yen. Aussie Yen, same thing as Aussie Swiss. Resistance right in here from August volatility, coming back into that level. Again, it was a pretty steep decline the last week or so. And let's go to the 4-hour chart. This is a fairly passive trend line. I'll just go ahead and make an adjustment there. If price gets on the right-hand side of that trend line, we should be buying. What I'm looking for right now is, can we see some structure here? Can we end up holding some of these lows? Is this forming a slight wedge at the bottom? Are we going to make our way back up to this trend line and then start to break through? Stop areas can go below. You can look to trade this bullish to the upside. If anybody is adamant about trying to sell this, then stop areas go above this trend line, and you're looking to get back down to these lows and try to target those lows. I, for one, am not a seller at this point. I'm just looking to see, can the structure hold across the board and look for JPY weakness. Part of that reason is because I think the stock market will continue to rally. So that's Aussie Yen. Aussie New Zealand, we did. Aussie dollar, another one that I'm pretty interested in holding long. I do have, actually, there are two things that happen here. 1, 2, 3 levels of support. We were buying that. We took it up towards 6,900. It finished just shy of that, around 68.85. So we did end up closing some profit there, which was great. Now I'm looking to reload and re-enter at similar lows. So you can see that I have a couple pending orders here around 67.40 and 66.96. I'm just trying to play these lows, build up a little area off the backside of this trend line. And from there, fingers crossed that we have this area holding, and off we go to the outer channel. Levels galore up here, channel resistance, especially at 68.80, round number at 7,000. And if you zoom out on this chart, there is a massive opportunity here. We have been in a downtrend since February of 2018. Even if we get a correction from this level to this level, even if we get a correction, we should be looking at something back towards 7,400. So I'm kind of holding on to this for the medium term, maybe the long term. The dollar has made this pretty messy because the dollar refuses to budge, even with FOMC cutting rates and Trump tweets trying to cut rates and say that the Fed is a failure, blah, blah, blah. it's not changing the dynamic of the dollar index, and it's not changing the dynamic of these dollar pairs. But technically speaking, major support, major support. We've been in a 2-year downtrend. I'm not saying the trend can't continue, but we have a lot of levels to the upside that would make sense from a technical standpoint that we make a recovery. Now, the dollar would have to weaken, or we're going to have to see something optimistic, most likely coming out of U.S. and China talks, which will hopefully resume and be uplifting in October, which is not that far away, by the way. So we will go into October trading in a week. So a week from tomorrow is October 1st. So we have a lot of speeches this week going into the end of the month. Officially Monday the 30th, there's going to be some daylight savings shifts as well. But October could be all eyes on U.S. and China once again, as it takes center stage to see if there's any, like I said, optimistic talks or resolutions coming from the trade war. But look at the structure. Resistance, support, resistance, support. You can see this channel. If we come back down, looking to buy this low, play the channel. If it comes back down, look to buy this low, play the channel. Now, yes, I've got traders here that look at, okay, can't you sell it? Sure, you can sell it. It's clean structure. You know, sell it with stops above the highs. Buy it with stops below the lows. That's the idea. But I am looking at the, hopefully the medium-term move, which is this flash crash low, this support being built, and from there we go there to possibly even more towards 74. So I would like to see a big trade opportunity on that Aussie dollar. Moving on, CAD Swiss. CAD Swiss sideways. This is a fun trade if you can get a chance to buy it low. Buy it low at 73, buy it low at 71.50, and trade it up towards 76. Longer term, this should be a trade that we can just, buy every low here and trade the range, and that's really what I'm going to focus on. I'm only interested in buying CAD Swiss. CAD Yen. CAD Yen looking for a trend line break this week. We had our August volatility, came back to retest, go down to a smaller time frame like the 4-hour chart. If you get on the right side of this trend line, you can buy this CAD Yen. So that's what I'll be looking to do here. Buying the CAD Yen, see price confirm, stop areas below, and make some new highs. Enjoy that little run on CAD Yen. That could be led more by the yen than anything else. Swiss yen. This one I'm probably going to stay out of. Yep, I'm just going to cross that one off the list. Euro Aussie. I'm looking for an opportunity to sell this Euro Aussie. Let's go back to the higher time frame here. So I see a giant rising wedge. And in that giant rising wedge, that does beg the question of if we break the structure, can we end up coming all the way back down here towards this low? Now that's a huge opportunity. These are sell areas that I'm watching for. I do want to see some price patterns either at this black line, which is around 6,400, or even at the highs again, which are around 66 and 6,700 respectively. So if this is a bit of a head and shoulders pattern setting up, we can break the neckline. This can be off to the races to the downside, but you can see that this area is what really needs to confirm. So if we are looking to sell this, the plan is to sell it nice and high. If we're looking to really confirm this and trade a lot of automation and just trying to stay in and be a bias, sellers only, then we want this to be on the right side of the trend line. We want this to be below 6,000 heading into, open bearish territory here on the right side of that wedge. But this is a big trade opportunity on the Euro Aussie. And furthermore, if the Euro Aussie makes a big move to the downside, then expect the Aussie Swiss to make a big move to the upside. They are inversely correlated, which I like. And I am long on Aussie Swiss, and I'm looking to get short on Euro Aussie. Euro CAD, this one is still in some consolidation. It's trying to make its way out of this channel. It's not quite there yet. Anything that's more confirmed on the right-hand side, I do think we're heading higher. I am looking to buy this at some lows. I'm looking to get this on the right side of the channel. I do want to buy this and head higher when it's confirmed, but I will wait for that. Euro Swiss, backside of the channel, backside of the trend line, still looking to hold long towards 1150. We might come down and revisit this low. We might come down and fill this French election gap from 2017, but medium term, I'm still holding Euro Swiss long. Euro Pound. We limited some exposure. This was our protect profit area. It ended up going another 100 pips lower than where we were looking to protect it was 8,900. It ended up dropping towards 8,800. So another 100 pips worth of net take profit as we were scaling in on this move to the upside. Look, to me, this is done. If you want to get out of this trade, you should have been in with these sell trades, in with confirmation, protecting your profit. Now, if it's going to set up for a possible, area over here to sell one more time, we can just come all the way back down to where this thing broke out initially back at 8,700. I, for one, am not really wanting to get into the fireworks of Brexit, which might be all of October, it might be the end of October, it might be wild and crazy. The margins haven't changed on pound pairs, are still expensive. I've been recommending short-term trading on pound pairs to limit the exposure and not be overly positioned because margin is high. So I'm not doing much with pound pairs at this time, but euro pound is one that I still like to trade because it's low volatility. Euro yen, still looking to see if we have an upward move. Nice little trend line break on that recovery out of August. Are we going to have a higher low to higher high? I would look for that. Even if we have a double bottom, look for that. I'd still like to see euro yen go to the upside. Euro New Zealand, we're already short. We reviewed that one earlier. Short at 75.50. Now we're up about 60 pips on this trade, and hopefully there's a lot more to go to the downside, so that's nice. Euro dollar. Just getting noisier by the day. I mean, lows here around 109.30, equal lows. We are just coiling into no man's land, 109.30, 10900, 10800. Just looking to see how this builds up and then will explode. Most likely, technically, this will make some type of relief rally and squeeze to the upside towards 1.12. I don't know what is going to drive that this week or next week, but something most likely is. We will see what it is. But technically, look for this level around 109 or possibly a spike down to 108 to fill. And from there, we're probably going to clear out some sellers and we're going to start rallying to the upside. So look for a technical squeeze on the euro dollar. Pound pairs. Pound Aussie is pretty much chop suey. Lots of indecision going on here. I would leave it alone unless you're short-term trading, trying to scalp a few pips during the day. Pound CAD, same thing. Target was achieved at 6,600. Protect your profits. Get out of this trade. What I'm looking for in the pound CAD is potentially a resistance point and equal lows for support. So this forms a range where buying low, selling high, buying low, selling high would be the next kind of phase of trading this pound CAD for right now. We had a pretty large decision zone from 77 all the way down to 6,000. So it doesn't surprise me if we do see consolidation after a large trend like that. So look for this range to play out. That's why I'm not interested in buying it. We were buying it a little bit early. We were buying it over here. We took some profits around 63. A lot of traders held on to it to around 66, which is great. Nice patience there. I'm glad it worked out. And if we end up making one more push to the upside, that is fine. But I wouldn't be surprised if this firm resistance holds and we come back down to retest the lows. Now, I am interested in buying that. I would buy that low. Take some profit. That's not a bad trade. 5,800 to 6,600. That's 800 pips. Okay, it did the same thing over here. If you zoom out, every little rally and drop, this was like a 500 to 700 pip range. So there was lots of opportunity over here before it finally ended up coiling. Nice little double top, and then there's your trend to the downside. So I think we could just repeat that cycle. More indecision coming on the pound CAD, at least in my opinion. Pound Swiss. Pound Swiss successfully hit our take profit around 23.50. You look left on the chart, previous lows. Those are support levels becoming resistance levels. So we got in pretty early, at good levels. We got in at 1.20, built some lows here off the lows at, 1,700 and took it up towards just a nice notable spot. Previous lows become a target. So grab some profit there, protect it, and we'll see what happens next. Is this a higher low and one more push to the upside? Yes, no, maybe. I'm probably not going to do much with the pound Swiss at this time, so I'll leave it alone for now. Pound yen. This one's had a pretty good recovery to the upside. Nice little breakout. We had that double bottom in August, which was a fantastic spot to buy. We also had the breakout here right around 129.80 or 130, just a nice round number. Ended up running all the way up to 135. I mean, just a lot of volatility here. What can I look for? Lows, lows. If we run up here and we consolidate, look for another push to the upside towards channel highs. This could be a 138 to 140 push. I would not want to trade this without a stop loss. I wouldn't want to scale into this. This might be highly volatile. It might come all the way back down to retest levels in here to provide some support. If it's a good setup, that's all I'm looking for. If it's a good setup where we have a trend line break, look for this thing to head higher, stop areas go below. So something maybe around, lows at 131, lows at 130. Trying to buy it off those levels, stop areas on the U-turn, and try to take it up towards 138, 140 on the pound yen. Again, that could be mostly yen driven. Maybe the pound stays neutral, but the yen gets weaker across the board. Pound dollar. A lot of traders were protecting profit here as well. We got up towards almost 2,600. I said right there, 2,600 to 2,700 protect buy trades. We didn't quite hit the yellow box. I see that. I agree that it's not perfect, but I always like to say we trade to be profitable, not perfect. I had traders that were entered in here around 2,400 and 2,000. Taking that move to the upside, this is all profits to protect. So I'm out of this trade, grab some net pips on the pound dollar, and I'm just waiting to see what's next. This could be a setup where we have a pullback. Previous highs right here, we pull back in this zone, look for another push to the upside. That's about as high as I could see this going. I think 3,000 is still an extremely firm level of resistance. If it gets there, that's awesome. That's a great target for the buyers, but that's a massive level to sell from the sellers. So, pick and choose your battles wisely. 120 is a crazy good level support. If we somehow find our way back to that level, I would be extremely interested in buying it low again with tight stops around 1,900 or so. But I'll just keep an eye on this pound. Moving on, so New Zealand pairs we already did, so we're kind of coming on the home stretch. New Zealand CAD, I'm looking for some nice confirmation to buy. We have divergence, we have a cycle. I'm looking for this to start turning to the upside. Our RBNZ rate decision tonight, this week comes out as well. New Zealand Swiss, same thing. The pairs look really similar from a structural standpoint for some New Zealand dollar strength. New Zealand dollar that we did as well, same thing. Almost identical setups across the board. I want to see some nice U-turns, hopefully, and some strength kicking in. Dollar CAD. Ugh. That pretty much surmises my thoughts on the dollar CAD. If we have a larger look here, this channel you can see is reflected. It's almost a duplicate. We had this channel over here. We had a big break to the downside. We have a big channel here that still hasn't convincingly made a break to the downside. Now, technically, that looks like that should be the move. I'm just trying to figure out when that's going to happen, how it's going to happen. Is it dollar related? Is it oil related? Is it CAD related? Is it not done yet? Is this channel low, channel low, channel low? Is it going to head up one more time to this, channel high? Are we going to come back and retest this high? I don't know yet. So I'm just kind of waiting for this pair. I want something a little bit cleaner. It does look like on the right side of this channel, it should want to fall. It's just, it's very difficult right now to dethrone the dollar. So until that is the case, perhaps one thing that could happen, we did have the Fed cut rates last week. They did cut to 2%. If they cut again through the rest of the year, maybe it's not going to be until, well, we'll see if they have a rate cut in October, but I doubt if they're going to do 3 months in a row. They'll probably save it till the end of the year. If the BOC does not cut rates, that's the Bank of Canada, if they don't cut rates and the Fed does cut rates, that does make this play pretty interesting because that would put them both at 1.75% yield. And that may be the X factor to get this to finally turn to the downside. 1, 2, 3, 4. If we're going to have a fifth wave, that makes sense to me from a technical standpoint. But man, has it taken a long time. We've had some good trades on this dollar CAD. Don't get me wrong. We've identified the structure. We had lots of buy and sell trades in here. We had a nice breakout here. We bought low, we sold. I mean, we had all sorts of good trades, but it's just, it's more enjoyable sometimes to get a trade and just set it and let it fall and be in that trade and enjoying some profit instead of, every time it moves, it stops and it moves back up and it moves back down and it stops and it moves back up. You have to be very active in protecting those profits regularly because this pair refuses to trend. So that's why I'm waiting. Look at all the hesitation here. If we can see the indecision, which you can kind of see fairly clean, little indecision, as long as we don't take out this high, I'd say that the sellers are pretty interested in pushing this lower. So that's roughly what I look at now is maybe a stop around 33.55-ish. Go after new lows, go after equal lows around 3,000. So to me, it looks like with this indecision, we are likely to head lower before higher. That'd be about the play that I look at this week, but I want to see something drive this. We don't really have a lot of news to take into consideration this week, but that'd be the technical direction I'm looking for. Dollar Swiss. Dollar Swiss, we're starting to hit off the highs around 1.00. I'm looking for a firm trendline break. This will probably continue a little bit higher. Rising wedge, we should have a break to the downside. By the time that we start to see the dollar Swiss falling, expect the euro dollar to be rallying. So maybe the dollar Swiss has to go a little bit higher. Maybe the euro dollar has to fall back to the lows at 109.20, maybe even 10800, but those should be some pretty massive turning points. And these pairs correlate pretty nicely. Dollar yen. Dollar yen, still want to stay bullish on this one. Look for structure, resistance becoming support. There's resistance, resistance becoming support. Look for the bounce on that dollar yen. Peso, krone, I'll leave those alone for now. Dollar index, as I said, still trying to make some sense of the dollar index. We've been sideways since the highs in July. High, low, high, low. It's probably coming back up to score another point. I did note this last week in my trading room, we do have 11 days of indecision on the dollar index. Now, if we do break to the upside, Don't be surprised to see dollar strength for another high. There's a high, there's a high, there's a high. We should see a drop from there. As these bulls score points, keep in mind that the momentum is not there to support that on the higher time frames. So this could just be a scalper's paradise. If we come up and score a point, sellers are interested in taking it right back down, buyers are interested in taking it back up, and this structure may continue to play out for a while. Mentally, I'm almost prepared for this to continue for another 6 to 12 months. I don't want it to be the case, but I am prepared for that to happen, unless there's something more definitive out of the Fed by December. But dollar index, that's what I'm looking for. U.S. oil. Lots of volatility last week. Crazy amounts of volatility, in fact. And essentially this just, I call this the tuning fork. When you have so much volatility in a short amount of time, this crazy move here, and then it just does this. And the waves just kind of neutral themselves out or balance out. That's kind of what oil has ended up doing. I still need to see resistance break or support break. Anything in between is short-term trading. There's resistance here to sell from, support here to buy from. If we have a bigger breakout coming, then let's see where it goes. But wild week last week on oil. Silver and gold. Silver and gold. Here is silver making a bullish run as we expected. Hopefully, we are heading up towards new highs. I've been noting the target around $20.60. Nice little pullback on silver, offering some buyers to take it up higher. It should go to $20 plus. That's probably a good spot. If you've been long with me since the lows around $14 and the break here, that's a nice spot to be protecting some profit. Of course, I'd love to see long-term levels and just continue this rally, but don't be surprised for this resistance to hit and this level to sell back off. But if we hit $20 and change, it's probably worth protecting some profit. And gold, XEUSD. Can we make a break to the highs? We need to get above this 1550 level. A lot of resistance there. If we can break higher, then let's go. Next stop, hopefully 1650 to 1700. Anything else here? Bitcoin. Hanging out sideways. We're currently at 99.37. Pretty significant support around 9,700. I keep looking at this channel thinking that just time is going to help this. Time gets us on the right side of the channel. Can we get a bullish run from there? Maybe. Ripple had an interesting story last week. I know we're seeing some big banks that are starting to issue some cryptos, and it's starting to regain some traction and some popularity. Ripple is one of the few that's actually backed by some major institutions. The unfortunate thing is there's not a finite supply. So I got all excited last week with this thing jumping up towards 33 cents. I'm in at 26 cents, and I'm just looking to hold for kind of the millennial millionaire trade. If we go, well, there's nothing to do. I mean, if you want to hold the buys, you hold the buys. When this thing breaks above 36 to 40 cents, then a new story emerges, and hopefully there's a lot more room towards $1 or higher. Until then, just, sit and hold, I guess. So that's Ripple and Bitcoin. Currency pair-wise, again, just to recap, we're looking for some New Zealand dollar strength on the technical front. That looks pretty good. The dollar index is proving to be difficult. If those bulls score another point, don't be surprised to see the bulls score a point and then immediately fall from there. They score a point and then they drop. So we do have an 11. This is probably more than that now, but if we break higher, this has been a bit of a breakout range we've been watching. So if we break higher, expect that move higher, 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 watching those highs compared to momentum. Likely that will be disagreeing. Likely this cycle will start heading lower. There's where this matches up for, slight strength on the dollar, maybe. And then from there, they sell off, and it will probably be pretty fast. So news-wise this week, like I said, a lot of speeches, not a lot of data. We do have the RBNZ rate decision expected to remain the same at 1%. I'd like to see that translate into Kiwi strength. So keep an eye on that strength chart for the week and see if the New Zealand continues to be a outperformer. And that's going to do it. If you need to follow me again, here are my handles. Pulver.Chris on Instagram, at PulverChris on Twitter. You can look me up, just type in my name on YouTube and Facebook. And I'm posting videos every week, posting content. Leave a like, subscribe, leave some comments. Happy to welcome all that. And let's have a good week, everybody. Talk to you soon. Bye.